Welcome into Bengals Breakdown by Chat Sports. As promised, a practice squad breakdown for Cincinnati. All but one spot has been filled, and we might know who that final spot is being kept open for. We'll break that all down, but first, a bunch of new subscribers on the channel. Very pleased to have you guys here. Make sure you are part of the Noti gang. The vast majority of you are not. It allows you to make sure you don't miss any video on the channel, and you're not subject to YouTube deciding to send one to you if you're lucky. Go back to where you're first subscribed, click the bell icon, change it from personalized to all. That way you don't miss out on a single push sent right to your phone, and you help me feed my family as well. Let's break down then the Bengals 2023 initial practice. Well, there's always movement throughout the season, right? 2 outside players have been added, and they're both super intriguing. First up is Demetric Felton, who you guys might remember as the running back taken after Chris Evans in that same draft class. He's kind of a wide receiver, running back hybrid, played a gadget role, return man ability with the Browns, where he had been released. They took Jerome Ford and Pierre Strong behind Nick Chubb only. In his career, only 8 carries for 20 yards. That's it for Felton. But 20 catches, 189, or 8 carries, I'm not even spoken there. 20 catches, 189 yards, 2 scores, offers you a lot of the same things Chris Evans does. But as a practice squad player, I'm actually super intrigued by that one. Very early this morning, I would argue too early, even before Joe Burrow returned to practice, Will Grier was signed to the Bengals practice squad. He was a vested veteran, did not go through waivers, picked his spot. He was actually at practice today, which is a very boarded the flight, got to Cincinnati pretty quickly, which was kind of crazy from that perspective. Will Grier earned himself the number 3 quarterback job for Cincinnati for now, with a performance against the Las Vegas Raiders that was by far the best he has ever played. Now, some of his down-in, down-out consistency still needs work. The former West Virginia product, you take away the 2 passing touchdowns in the game against the Raiders, 6 preseason TDs against 5 preseason INTs. Not nearly as appealing, but he has gotten better since a fairly rough beginning to his career with the Carolina Panthers, where he wasn't very good in his 2 appearances. My expectation for Grier, obviously going to begin the year on the practice squad, get up to speed with the playbook. That'll take some time, especially for a quarterback. It does take some time to learn new terminology, learn everything else that's going on. I would not rule out, however, whether it's week 5 or week 15, if Will Grier actually takes the quarterback 2 job from Jake Browning. I think there's more upside in terms of what Grier can do with the football than what Browning can do. Grier's a solid athlete. I was impressed by Browning's too, but I think Grier's just arm talent is a bit of a notch above. Will take him some time to get acclimated, but I would not be shocked if at some point Grier gets caught up to the active roster and takes over that quarterback 2 job. Who do you want it to be? Down the line, not right away. That's still Jake Browning's job for week 1 and at least the first few weeks after that. WG for Will Grier, JB for Jake Browning. It's the pinned comment, so go vote here, especially if the ad comes on YouTube. Some more practice squad additions or maybe re-signings. Allan George thought he'd make it through waivers. He did. The Bengals found a way to keep a player that they liked. They called up briefly last season, but was just caught on the wrong side of a numbers game. The exact same thing, by the way, was true with Domenique Davis, the defensive tackle, who had at least pushed a little bit for one of those final roster spots with the way he had impressed in the preseason. Jay Tufele ends up making it as the last DT. I would not rule out Davis as a piece you keep on the practice squad all year and maybe earns a roster spot next season. The Bengals did go deep on the offensive line. Nate Gilliam is also going to make it to the practice squad, interior offensive lineman. If you like a lineman, keep him on the practice squad. The depth sucks in the NFL at the position, so I'm glad he's sticking around in Cincinnati. Our goal, folks, is 4,000 subscribers here on Bengals Breakdown. We are less than 250 away, with week 1 about a week and a half away. Maybe we'll be live for the first NFL game of the season for Cincinnati if we get to 4K. Hit that sub button for me right now. Former draft pick Jeffrey Gunter also makes the practice squad. Played a little bit last year, didn't do that much. There was a numbers game already going on at defensive end. Maybe the team's deepest position this year. No room for Gunter, but he does make it to the practice squad. Shaka Heyward, the linebacker, also joins. You want a bunch of different options at each position on the practice squad. You have 16 spots after all, so you'll take a quarterback, you'll take a running back, receivers, O-line, D-line, linebackers, DBs. Heyward, the UDFA, is one of your linebacker options. Tanner Hudson also makes it through. I believe, by the way, Hudson is a vested veteran, so he did not have to go through waivers, if I remember correctly. So he gets to be tight end 4 on the roster. There had been some buzz. Maybe the Bengals claiming somebody off of waivers. When Albert Okwuegbunam got traded to Philadelphia, I think that took it off the table for Cincinnati. Hudson, for now at least, is tight end 4. Joe Burrow back at practice today. We broke that down briefly in a short we posted. Links in the comments and in the description of today's video. But you can also get, in celebration, this NFL Jam shirt featuring Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Links also in the comments and the description. It's chatsports.com/BengalsJam. Very pleased to see Shedrick Jackson make it to the practice squad. I was really impressed by Bo's nephew out of Auburn this preseason. I knew he'd make it. You know, the guy that no one had that much interest in his UDFA typically make it through the waivers down there. Give him a year on the practice squad. Let's see what happens next year. Sidney Jones, who also is a vested veteran, didn't want to move, wasn't going to find an active roster spot anywhere. He has re-signed with the practice squad for Cincinnati, as Jones will be a veteran piece in the room. You do get more veterans than what you used to. Right around COVID hit, they were changing the rules and then expanded it. You actually get vets now. It's no longer just young guys. Sidney Jones gets to extend his NFL career because of that. Of all the players on the Bengals practice squad, who is your favorite? Let me know in the comments section right now. Many people were excited about Jaxson Kirkland, the offensive lineman out of Washington. I did not think had a great preseason. Still has plenty of time to make another step forward. The exact type of player you keep on your practice squad. Liked him coming out. Needed more time. Gets that now for Cincinnati. Another wide receiver, Kwamie Lassiter II, gets to stick around in Cincinnati. He played very briefly last year, the one game played. I wouldn't worry too much about that one. I think of the receivers, he's the one I had third on the list, but you know, they weren't going to keep Mack Hippenhammer despite being from my alma mater, so that was fine. Stanley Morgan makes it to the practice squad. I was a little bit worried about a team like the Colts trying to get him. I do think Morgan qualifies as a vested veteran, so I think he chose to stick around in Cincinnati. I'm pretty sure he qualifies. Maybe I'm mistaken there. Not really a receiver. He had 0 catches last year, but he had 11 tackles because he's a key special teamer. He could be a prime game day call-up from the practice squad. Call that guy up, put him on the active roster, and then you get 3 of those. Then it's either stick down there or stay on the roster full-time. Tyler Murray, another linebacker, the slightly undersized UDFA, 6'1", 226 is at safety size 5-10 years ago. Now it's linebacker size, which I'm fine with, by the way. He's on the practice squad. And so, too, is fan favorite veteran and a locker room favorite veteran, Michael Thomas, the safety. This one was expected. The Bengals pretty much told him, hey, we're going to release you, but we want you back on the practice squad, provide some veteran leadership there, and again, help on special teams as well. The Bengals then have one open roster spot on the practice squad. Who do you want to add? I have one name in mind we'll get to here, but I want to hear from you guys first in the comments. I would hope the Bengals keeping the last spot open for Raymond Johnson III. It is surprising he was not on the initial announced practice squad. Now, couple reasons potentially for that. Number one, he wants to shop around, look at his options. See if a team wants to put him on a practice squad where he has a better chance of making it to the game day roster, which might not be the case for Cincinnati. Or maybe, and this is just pure speculation here, still no word on the severity of the Joseph Asai injury. We could get that news at any time in the next couple of minutes, if not, or even hours beyond that. You could see the Bengals put Joseph Asai on injured reserve and then sign Johnson to the active roster. Now, if you were going to do that, I would have argued, hey, cut Travion Williams, he's a vested vet, and then re-sign him the next day, so maybe not in the Bengals' cards. I was worried about him getting claimed. Did not end up happening from the active or in the waiver claim process. I hope he is at least in Cincinnati in some capacity, if only on the practice squad. One more note, Trent Taylor has found an active roster spot. The Chicago Bears signing him to their 53-man roster. Wasn't really anticipating that one. He wasn't going to make your active roster. That was a no-brainer, despite what Ian Rappaport might have said. He was never going to make it. So I'm happy for Trent to find a new home and wish him the best of luck.